Here's this guy, Major League Baseball. Over the weekend, you saw Corey Seager, 10 years, $325 million. How about that? Javier Baez, 6 years, $140 million. Schwaber, Bryant, Castellanos, still out there. Phillies have been linked to all three of those fellas. I am not afraid to admit this. I've had a man crush on Nick Castellanos for a long time, ever since he was the hotshot prospect with the Detroit Tigers coming up in the system. And the Phillies, they had Michael Franco, I believe, coming at third base. And Nick Castellanos was one of those guys that was a hotshot third base prospect. And then they moved him to the outfield, right? I would love to see him in a Philadelphia Phillies uniform. I feel like he is going to be a consolation prize, and albeit a good consolation prize, to the Kris Bryant sweepstakes. And the reason I feel like that is because, let's face it, Bryce Harper, although this year I really feel like, well, when you become an MVP, it's kind of awesome. But this year really became the leader in the clubhouse. With Rhys Hoskins going out, who the Phillies tendered yesterday, by the way, so he'll be back, so will Jose Alvarado and Zach Eflin. But with Rhys Hoskins going out for the final month plus of the season, I feel like this finally became Bryce Harper's team. And you might say, oh, well, this is the guy that's always talking about sign JT, or we need more help in the minor league system and bring in more talent and all. He's always been like that with the front office. Like, I feel like he's always been that guy, but now I feel like he's also that guy on the diamond as well. And for that to happen in two places, I think is a huge step forward for his process of becoming the leader of the Phillies, which is exactly what I want him to be. And listening to him go into the offseason, talking about making acquisitions and upgrading the farm system and all that, I think the ownership sits on the edge of their seat and kind of perks up a little bit and go, okay, well, Bryce is saying it. We got to make sure we get this happen. And a $330 million man, we got to make him happy. And I feel like that's what the front office is doing right now. And that's why I feel like they're looking at Kris Bryant like, okay, we're going to make this an all Vegas team. When it comes to possibly having Kris Bryant in a corner outfield spot or a corner infield spot. Or it also comes to maybe having him in center field. Or it comes to having Harper, Bryant, and Bryson Stott in the lineup on opening day. That's a lot of Vegas. That's a whole lot of Vegas, baby, in that opening day lineup. Kris Bryant is obviously the guy that I would most want to see on this Phillies team. Nick Castellanos, I think, is the guy that finishes second in that category. Like I said, consolation prize, and I think that's the way the Phillies are looking at it right now. Schwaber's another guy that's very much the interest of the Phillies, and I know a lot of people are looking at that going, that wouldn't be a bad bat to have in this lineup, as consistent as he can be in the playoffs, the playoff run that he actually was able to put together for the Sox over this past postseason. So we'll see how all that plays out. But again, all of it's a grain of salt to me, because I'm looking at this CBA, and I'm saying once it expires, I mean, I told you guys a couple of weeks ago that I'm in a state right now with baseball where I finally have admitted to myself that I just don't love the game the way I used to. Like, it used to be my number one, love it more than anything by far. Everything else was a distant second, third, or fourth, right? And just the way the game's played today, it's not as good as it was, when I was a kid, and I hate to sound like an old head when I say that, but it's just like the whole playoffs, this past playoffs, not just the Phillies being out of it, just watching these bullpen games in the postseason, and guys are openers. They're not starters anymore. Like, it just seems weird and it takes forever to play a game now. It just is not, it doesn't have the same juice that it once did for even, 5-6 years ago, when the game was really starting to change into this real long process that we have to watch for 9 innings. So I'm waiting to see what comes out of the CBA. And then the other side of that is the business aspect of it. Going through the whole COVID and going through the pandemic and all that, and watching these two teams, watching these two parties, I should say, in the Players Association and the league, watching them go at it in a time where people like needed the distraction, was like, guys, can we just get back to the field of play? Can we just get back to that? Can we just get you on the field? And then we have this outlet that people need right now. No, we got to talk about money and all that stuff. It was like you had the safety protocols pretty much hammered out. And then once that happened, it was like, oh, well, we don't really know what we're doing financially speaking, how we're going to prorate any of this and who's going to be making money out of it. Like, if there was ever a time to go, hey, let's just get back to work, and then we're going to worry about the CBA when we worry about the CBA. Instead, they wanted to worry about what was going to be in place by the time the new CBA really rolled around as far as the due date and expiration date went on it. So that was just another thing that put a horrible taste in my mouth as far as baseball went.